Give us the donut, the rosin, and when needed, even the pine tar.
Hey, so
The International Diamond Center is proud to present On Deck with Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell. For the next 60 minutes, we are peering into the box from 60 feet 6 inches.
Are you going to be impressed with a 500-foot home run? Yeah.
Power alley to power alley, we have you covered. Now, let's head out to the bump and join our Gators baseball radio broadcast battery. Here are Jeff and Steve.
Hello, welcome to the first edition of the On Deck Show for this baseball/softball year. I'm Steve Russell. That guy is my baseball broadcast partner, Jeff Cardozo. Got a lot of things we're going to go over today with you, and those are throughout the season here. We'll talk Gator baseball, Major League Baseball too, softball, but we've seen this before. The Gators struggled last year, caught fire, went all the way to Omaha. May have to do the same thing now.
Yeah, it's obviously there's panic. Certainly, you look at it and 1-8 through the first 3 weeks, but then you also look at it and say, hey, Tennessee and Georgia might be the two best teams in the country, and you probably should have won one against Tennessee. You blew one. You blew one against Georgia, and obviously you blew one against Ole Miss this past weekend too. So a game here and there, it's totally different. But yeah, I think you have to now look at the overall longevity of it and say, gosh, you probably need to get to 12 wins, and how do you find those? But there are easier games on the schedule. You've got South Carolina, you've got Missouri, and teams like that where you should be able to get some wins. Even Vandy this weekend is nothing, they're not hitting the cover off the baseball or do anything like that. So there is time, but now if you're Kevin O'Sullivan, that coaching staff, you've got to figure out what role you're going to put people in, and I think we started to see that in Oxford this past weekend.
I'm not real great at math, but you hit the number, Jeff. If it's 12, maybe 13 gets you in.
Sure,
right?
It did last year.
Historically,
yeah.
Yes. So 21 games in the league left, right? Let's do the math. 12-9.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that doable?
Oh, it's certainly doable. Yeah, with what's left on the schedule, but you can't keep getting swept, and that's what was so big about winning that final game. But Florida blew the first game of that doubleheader against Ole Miss, and I think that's where some of the frustration lies. And I think it's a coaching staff that obviously knows what they're doing. They've been there, they've done that, they've been around. They're preaching messages. I hear the messages, but the execution just sometimes isn't there. So I think it's also a group of players that need to understand, hey, we can't just show up. We've got to do different things. We've got to play a different style of baseball. But to me, Steve, it's all mental. I think when it's all said and done, you're at the University of Florida for a reason. That means you're pretty darn good and you know what you're doing, but you have to learn how to win at this level. You learn how to compete at this level, and I think that's the struggle right now.
I know people don't want to use injuries as an excuse because, a lot of teams have injuries, but that is a factor here. When you lose for at least a period of time 2/3 of your weekend rotation, you lose a guy like Kyle Jones, who Sully was just raving about, maybe even being a first rounder. That's got to affect your team.
Yeah, and now you've lost Curlin for the year, who I think before the year started, I thought he would be the best player on this team and being able to be healthy, and he had a 7-game hitting streak before hurting the shoulder. He was playing really, really well. So, yeah, it's not only the starters. And then think about that. In Menendez, you're probably best reliever, at least left-handed wise, out of the bullpen. He was lights out in the fall and early on in the season. So there is a lot to be said for that. You're playing other teams right now that have all their guys that were supposed to be in those roles healthy. So, yeah, it puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit. And now I think the interesting part is, Aiden King, he's really good, and he's going to be very good. But right now he was probably going to be a guy out of the bullpen. So you didn't have to rely on that. So now you put him into the rotation, and oh, my goodness, it's in the Friday night role facing guys like that. But then now you have to put a freshman that wasn't going to be as much of a factor into his role, and then that's where you're seeing everything get messed up. So it's not just the guys that were supposed to be in that rotation, it's moving other guys in, and then guys on the back end that are now blowing these games or not being as good because they aren't ready for this spot. That's where the problem is right now.
Roles certainly different. We're broadcasting from Coach's podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You can watch us live on Facebook, listen later on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, any of the nearly 40 platforms where you can find your favorite podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We are taking live questions on Facebook Live if you have any. But let's do our questions of the week. They're always good. Brought to you by Meldon Law. Meldon Law with 50 years of experience, the only injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. And for the rest of the time we are doing the show, you can send your questions to questions@gatorshows.com. Here we go. Pete in Gainesville, season started. When do the Gators start playing? This is a very ugly start to the SEC schedule. What's the most glaring problem? I think we talked about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that.
Aaron in Gainesville is pitching or hitting our biggest problem. I think we talked about that too.
Yeah, but I think, you still look at some of the hitting too, and Florida's just not capitalizing. I mean, there's situations where, look at the Georgia weekend. It was leadoff double, nothing. Leadoff double, nothing. Ole Miss, leadoff double. You try to bunt them over, nothing. So I think the execution is a part of that too. And it's still trying to shuffle guys in and out of the lineup. I mean, look at Bobby Bozer. He might have been the MVP for the first 3 weeks of the season, and then he goes in a 1-for-21 slump and strikes out 11 or 12 times in that span. Nadeau was about an 0-for-20 slump too, a guy that's your leadoff guy. So if he's not getting on base, then you can't be able to drive him in. So there's a lot going on right now with different roles and lineup changes. And gosh, they even moved Ashton Wilson into the order just to try to create a spark plug. And then Ty Evans, who was that senior coming back to hopefully give you that needed punch in the middle of the order, he hasn't homered yet. So, there's a lot going on, and we're about halfway done through the season. And, he had 13 a year ago. So it's a big difference not having the power. And certainly, Kaggs isn't coming back. So you got to figure out some other guys to be able to do something.
Clairvoyant, because our next question from Ronnie, who's replacing Kaggs as our power hitter, is it Donay? You don't replace him.
No. And Donay doesn't have a homer in SEC play yet. So all the damage he was doing is against the North Floridas and the Harvards and the Columbias of the world. So I think that's where it needs a change. And to be honest with you, Donay hit a ball in Oxford. It was about 3 steps shy of the warning track. And that's the furthest he's hit a ball in SEC play. There's a lot of strikeouts and things that he's having to go through. He got hot for about a week, so you put him into that 4 or 5 hole, and then the strikeouts happen again. So now you got to bring him back down into 7 or 8, which I think is probably the best spot for him. But I think wherever he hits, teams understand how to pitch to him now, and they've seen it. They understand the power, so they're pitching him backwards. He's missing a lot of breaking balls, and you can't replace it. I guess to answer the question,
yeah, you can't.
There's no way to do it.
No, you can't. He's a generational player.
Sure,
you just don't replace that. Wilson in Gainesville, team needs to regroup and re-energize their mindset. How do you find a spark when you're playing like this?
Yeah, and maybe that is Ashton Wilson. We saw it last year in the postseason, the impact that he made. And speaking of Kaggs, he had just as many ribbies as Kaggs did in the postseason last year. So he got you through that regional and super regional with what he was able to do. Yost is starting to pick it up a little bit, which was nice to see. He had a great weekend up in Oxford. You've got to get Nadeau going. You've got to get Bozer going. Heyman had a great weekend, so maybe guys are starting to figure some things out and do some different things. But yeah, I don't know. There's not really a way to get that spark unless it would be a guy that's coming off the bench and coming out of nowhere like Ashton Wilson would be doing.
Again, I don't mean anything negative about what happened last year, but when you have a guy like Kaggs, he covers up a lot of things.
Sure.
One swing of the bat changes everything. The Gators just don't have that this year. Peyton in Daytona, how much of the pitching roles are on coaching? How much is just a drop in talent?
Yeah, I don't think it's either, to be honest. I just think it's some really good guys. And if you look at the numbers and if you look at the accolades from high school, they were some of the best, and all these other schools across the country wanted these guys. But I think when it's all said and done, let's take a guy like McCall Beimiller, who was, state champion in high school, really, really good as a part of rotation in Jesuit, but he's now 18 years old. And you look at Georgia's lineup 2 weeks ago, they had 7 seniors in it, guys that are 23, 24 years old. So even if the 18-year-old eventually is going to be better, right now, give me that guy with 500 career at-bats that's 23 years old and seen it all. So I think that's the problem. And, for everybody out there, the glaring issue right now, 75%, and it's actually probably a little bit more, maybe 76, 77 after the weekend, but looking at the numbers, 75% of the pitches that have been thrown so far this year by Gator pitching, freshman or sophomore. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To think about that number, and all these other teams that you're seeing are guys that have been there, done that, older, veteran guys. So it's not the coaching. These guys, I mean, Sully's put a bunch of guys. Let me look at what Brady Singer did in his first start. He did something that nobody had done since Tom Seaver. That's your boy, Tom Seaver. So,
Yep.
I mean, you know how good that Sully knows how to pitch, and David Kopp, the things that they've been through, the things that they understand, but they can't sit there and throw the baseball for you. They can tell you how to get outs. They can look at scouting reports and make you understand it. But if the players aren't executing, then that's the problem right now. And just I think they're good. They're just not.
They're not ready.
Old enough or wise enough. Yes,
it's not ready yet. You're putting them in roles that high school's so much different than college, obviously,
Sure.
And that's not the role they were. I mean, they're Aiden King. You talked about. He wasn't going to be the Friday night guy,
No.
but he had to be because of the injuries. How about Singer? He was lights
great.
out. Okay, Jamison in Gainesville. As bad as the season started, Conran Ballpark still packed each week, a testament to Gator fans. When do they start becoming disinterested?
I don't think they will.
I don't either.
It's still Gator baseball. It's still great to go sit out on the berm and have the kids run around and be a part of everything. So, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Mark in Jacksonville, CAG starting the season off at Double-A when we see him in the batting order next to India.
Yeah, India got hit in the head the other
did you
day,
see
which
that?
is
Yeah.
certainly tough, but looks like he's going to be okay. I would assume probably somewhere in the middle of the summer. He's still got to get acclimated. I mean, the exit velo off the bat is great. I mean, still there was some swing and miss in the numbers, and guys are understanding how to pitch to him, so he's got to figure out how to hit. Now all of a sudden, guys that have 3 or 4 pitches and they're throwing 98 left and right. So it's really hard to just jump right in the big leagues. We did see it with Cam Smith. With Florida State's third baseman last year. He made the Astros roster. And we saw it with Wyatt Langford a couple of years ago. But it's really, really hard to do. It didn't even happen to Dylan Cruz. So guys like that. So it'll take some time. And and then there's nobody else in that draft. There was, 5 guys drafted in front of him. Condon, Bazana, guys like that. They're not even close to sniffing the big league. So for CAGs to be further along than they are right now, it says a lot.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do is rush him to the big leagues.
Sure.
That's the worst thing you can do. Nancy in Gainesville, softball's playing better than the baseball team as Walton found his pitching. Well, Rothrock, back from injury, sure helps.
Yeah, you needed her to be a part of that rotation. I think, again, as we talk about baseball, he was trying to shuffle ladies around and try to figure out roles and where to do them and how to pitch and what situations to pitch. And, her coming back is going to make all the difference in the world. And we saw it this weekend against Auburn. So, yeah, just get healthy. I mean, you can't, at the college level, go into free agency or make a trade. And that's the hard part, because Sully would do that right now if he could. Tim Walton would have done that if he could, because you now need people to get you through. But I think what it looks like what Walton might do is give Rothrock a little bit of time off every now and then. As long as she's good for the postseason, that's what's going to matter. And hopefully Florida can get a little healthier, or at least a little bit better with experience by the time the postseason rolled around.
Lee in Newberry, I haven't paid much attention to the baseball team yet, still focused on hoops. Who's the star of the team now? I don't know that they have.
Yeah, I mean, Shelton, I guess, would be the guy, still playing a really good shortstop, and then he's got more hits than anybody on the team. He leads the SEC in doubles. The home run numbers aren't there because I think he's using the left
field
side of the field now to be able to do stuff, but he did hit a 3-run homer in Oxford this weekend. So, yeah, if it's anybody, it's going to be Colby Shelton.
I love what he's done. I mean, because he was a lot of pull last year.
A lot of strikeouts.
Power, but a lot of strikeouts. He cut down the strikeouts, using the whole field, the average way up. Courtney in Gainesville, according to some, Gators didn't deserve to play in the postseason last year, then tore through to Omaha. Can this team find its footing, or do we just lose too much talent? Well, I guess we're going to see.
Yeah, that's to be determined. Again, you got to get back to – I don't think 500's in jeopardy anymore like it was last year, but that's because Florida lost a whole bunch of midweek games last year. Now they're winning the midweek games. They've just got to get to a certain record. There was a stat I saw last week, and over the last couple of years, and this was after the first 2 weeks before Ole Miss, teams that started either 1-5 or 0-6 in the league, so which is what the Gators did. There were 7 of those teams over the last 2 years, and 6 of them didn't make the postseason. Did not.
Yeah.
So only 1 team made the postseason. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a grind. But Sully said the other day as we were leaving Oxford, it said their goal right now is to not look ahead to the rest of the season. It's, hey, we got to grind to try to get back to 500 in SEC play. Get to that record, and then anything can happen after that.
Last one, Brian in Live Oak. Is this the worst stretch of Gator baseball Sully's had?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some teams that have, struggled, but, I mean, it's actually the worst start in the history of the program. And we've been playing baseball for
a while,
over 100 years. So I think that's the hard part. The last time that they had lost 9 in a row was 1999, and that was that year that everybody was hurt too. A bunch of injuries for Andy Lopez that year. So injuries make a difference, and when you don't have your guys out there, you've got to try to find other roles, and guys have to step up and figure it out. So this coaching staff knows what they're doing, and you would expect them to get better. The opponents get a little bit easier, but you still got to go out and execute, and that's been the problem right now.
There's 2 ways to look at that question. If you look at it, wins and losses, not a good stretch.
Yeah.
But look where they ended up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's the bottom line, where you end up. Was the regular season record great? No. Did they sort of sneak into the playoffs? Yes. But then they got hot. If they do that again, it's a successful season. You got to Omaha.
Yeah, you did. And your regular season, better record right now than it was last year,
right,
by several games. So
yeah,
it's just because of the losses in the SEC, I think people are panicking a little bit.
Best and worst of the week brought to you by Ruse Ogre, State Farm Insurance. State Farm agent Ruse Ogre is your go-to agent in Gainesville and North Central Florida for the service you deserve at the price you want. Best and worst.
I have something that'll actually combine it, and it's maybe bad for baseball, but it's kind of, and Steve, you were sitting there doing the games against Georgia last weekend, and it seems like every basketball game's been the same time as baseball going on, and it was that way. We were up in Knoxville, and the SEC championship game was the same time as the baseball game. So you look down in the stands, and all these Tennessee fans are on their phone watching Tennessee play Florida for the SEC championship in basketball. And it was very quiet. And I was like, oh, this is cool. The Gators have, nobody's even paying attention. So now that happens, of course. Gators are in the NCAA tournament. And I remember it was NATO that popped up to right. And Georgia guy catches it. Florida's losing pretty bad in the game, so that's the worst part of what's happening. But as the right fielder caught it for Georgia, place went nuts. And everybody's screaming and cheering. It's because that's when Clayton hit the 3 to advance and do some different things. So I guess it was a good and bad. A lot of people were certainly paying attention to Gator basketball, and it was interesting. You look down at the Georgia dugout, and they're like cheering and going nuts and having a good time because they were having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Florida was bad that weekend.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Florida get hit in the mouth like that in a really long time.
And Georgia's good.
They are very good.
Let's give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But you said it. I don't care what sport it is in college. When you're older, you're better.
Yep.
Basketball's that way.
Sure.
I mean,
look at Auburn. Auburn's got several 22, 23-year-old guys, and that's what the Gators have to now contend with in the Final Four.
Yep.
So,
by the way, again, a reminder, you can send your questions for us to questions@gatorshows.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Much more to come. Stay with us on the On Deck Show.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out? Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
You might know that State Farm agent Ruz Agra has great service. He's your good neighbor after all, but did you know that State Farm has surprisingly good rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Ruz Agra has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Gainesville and North Central Florida. So call State Farm agent Ruz Agra at 352-240-1779 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
When the head ball coach needed concrete work done for Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, he went with the crew you can trust to get the job done right. Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors across the Southeast. Through time-tested know-how, exacting standards, and rugged workmanship, Silverback Concrete never misses the chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather, precision, grit, safety, and speed. Silverback Concrete. From river to ridge, swamp to coast, Silverback Concrete is your full-service concrete contractor that can get the job done right no matter the terrain. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to learn more. That's silverbackconcrete.co. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back. Visit silverbackconcrete.co today. silverbackconcrete.co.
Don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. International Diamond Center, located in Celebration Point for quality, selection, and value. International Diamond Center, the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. Welcome back to the On Deck Show. Jeff, Steve, we are glad you're here as we talk Gator baseball and Gator softball. If you have a question you want to ask us live on Facebook Live, you can do that. And Titan MRI sponsors those questions for us. So if you have them, shoot them to us, and we will get to them. Meantime, Coach of the Week, Jeff, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, putting some star power to work in your financial life for 90 years. Campus USA Credit Union. Coach of the Week.
Yeah, we've already talked a little bit about Georgia, but let's hype up Wes Johnson and what he's been able to do. And I think it was, you know, everybody's got their own personalities, the way they coach, the way they get after it, certainly the way they recruit. You know, this is a guy that's been around a lot of very successful programs. But I thought it was really interesting last week to finish up that series against Florida where you looked in the dugout and they had brought in a guy from Ocala, from Forest High School. And you know, he was very good for them last year, but he's in a different role now this year. So they put him in the game, of course, probably a lot of friends and family. And he walks the first guy he faces. And Wes Johnson's yelling out of the dugout and he's saying, you know, hey, do you want this or not? You could like read his lips. And the kid didn't really hear it. So all of a sudden, like 3 seconds later, he goes out to the mound and he's walking out there and he kind of grabbed him, you know, right here. And he got up there, but he said, hey, I trust you. I want you here. This is your spot. This is what I want you to do. And, you know, I think probably players appreciate that. And, you know, obviously they're playing really, really well. I think they've won 8 in a row now from what they've been able to do. They swept Auburn this past weekend, who's a really good baseball team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, Wes Johnson, it's almost like when Link Jarrett came to Florida State after 5.5 left, junior. That's Mike Martin Jr., for those that don't know. We call him 5.5. I was like, crap, Florida State's probably going to get pretty good now. And you thought the same thing after Scott Strickland, who is actually the right name of the old Georgia coach. When he got fired, it's like, crap, Georgia's probably going to get pretty good with Wes Johnson coming in. So he was a hungry coach, knew what he was doing, and he's got Georgia playing really, really well.
He does. Team of the Week brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air, your number one local HVAC company. Comfort Temp Heating and Air comforts our business, peace of mind, our promise. Well, Georgia was my team of the week.
Okay.
I think I have the number right. I think they've hit 79 homers, which is number one in the country.
Yeah.
And again, asterisk by this wasn't the weekend rotation Florida had planned on having, but to see them hit the baseball the way that they did was really impressive. And they got that big DH there who can flat hit and up and down. The 9-hole guy had, 5 hits the first 2 games. I mean, you don't get much deeper than that.
Yeah, I thought he might have been the SEC Player of the Week for what he was able to do. But yeah, Zaborowski, this is a guy from Miami of Ohio. He hit 10 homers last year in 50 starts for Miami of Ohio, and he's already got 14 for Georgia this year. So he's been really good. And then I'll echo that, and my team of the week would probably be Arkansas. I think they and Georgia have been very, very good. Arkansas lost the first game SEC-wise of the year to Ole Miss, and they've rattled off 8 straight after that. So they've been playing really, really well. They went to Vandy. Then Vandy obviously comes here this weekend, but you don't go to Nashville and win 3 games, and that's exactly what Arkansas was able to do. The second game was an extra inning game, so that was a little close, but they pounded them pretty good in the first and the third game. So Arkansas comes to Gainesville later this year, so fans show up for that one. Gators are going to need you.
Yeah. Arkansas, I mean, we all know how good their coach is. We all know how good that program is. They pitch lights out.
Always, yeah.
It's just been, do they have enough hitting? And I guess that, to me, Jeff, that's going to be the same thing this year. They are pitching great. Do they have enough offensively, if their pitching falters, to get to Omaha? I guess we're going to see.
Yeah, they've got the Aloy brothers that have been really, really good right there in the middle part of that order. It's a tough lineup to navigate through, but yeah, it's crazy that they've never won. But I think it shows you how hard it is to win, because Dave Van Horn's year in and year out been very, very good.
Yep. Take a break. Come back. More on deck to come. Stay with us.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, opening Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Huber. During my 33 years as voice of the Gators, I called championship games for football, basketball, and baseball. And at the same time, Quality Plumbing became champions for residents and businesses of Gainesville.
I'm Sean Kelly, and now I'm the voice of the Gators as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. And for years to come, I'll be calling the games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
CFC 043073.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for core power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Hey fans, don't settle for a knockoff diamond when you can get the best diamonds at the best price. International Diamond Center. It's located right here in Celebration Point for quality, selection, and value. International Diamond Center. It is the official jeweler of the Florida Gators.
All right. We're about halfway done with our initial on-deck show of the year. Let's get right back to things. Relief Pitcher of the Week, brought to you by QC Kinetics. If you've got joint pain that won't go away, check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Gator on this one because I thought McCall Bymiller did a good job coming out of the bullpen and just trying to figure some things out, again, in a role that because he wasn't even going to do anything. And then you had Carson Monstioka come out of the bullpen and really shut for about 5 hitters Ole Miss down in a very tough environment. So there are a couple of guys in there. I don't know how much they're going to be factors or how much they're going to play, but you're going to have to rely on some of these guys right now. So for a couple of those freshmen to come out and do some different things, I mean, Monstioka could be a guy that, maybe even get a midweek start or something like that, and just to try to get him more experience and do different things. But Menendez is not coming back, and you've only got a couple of lefties. So I think that name and Nico Jansen's Gator fans you're going to have to really watch out for. They've got good stuff, but again, it's just, hey, I threw 3 really good breaking balls, and then now all of a sudden I'm ahead 0-2 or something because he fouled one off, and I'm going to throw a fastball right down the middle. It's going to get hit in the gap for a double. So it's maintaining that and being able to really stick it out. They're not asking for a ton. They're not asking you to go 3 innings. They're asking you to go 3 hitters. So just do your job for 3 hitters and get people out.
I'm glad you said that because I agree with you 1,000%. I think because of where Florida is with the injuries, the bullpen, you're going to have guys that we didn't think we would see a lot of have more of a role, but they're not asking them to pitch, like you said, 2 or 3 innings. Get 6 outs, get 4 outs. Then the next guy comes in because you don't want to have these guys go through the order more than one time, generally speaking. So I'm right with you, Jeff. I think if those guys can come in and shut hitters down, for an inning, 5-6 hitters, they're doing their job. My relief pitcher of the week, Dylan Crooks of Oklahoma has 8 saves already. Mm-hmm. 8 saves. And, in college, you don't. Sometimes Sully's had this dilemma, right? You keep a guy at the back end of the bullpen and not get to him, then he's not doing you any good. He must be doing Oklahoma some good because he has 8 saves.
Yeah, and that's always interesting, Steve, because now what are the Gators going to do? Obviously, you've seen now that Philpott has not been able to be good in that role, and we saw him get a start this past weekend, and maybe that's more. It's just maybe he can't get in that high leverage spot. The stuff is great, but for some reason, he's been getting hit. So you saw Clemente come in and do some really good things. I think he got worn down a little bit and walked a couple of people that inevitably cost the Gators that game. But I think his mindset is probably more of a reliever. And that's what's hard because look at Neely last year. He wanted to be a starter. And they got to the point where, Neely, we need you on the back end. And the Gators got to Omaha basically because of Neely and how good that he was. So maybe Clemente can now take that into heart and say, yeah, I want to be a starter. That's where you're going to get all the fame and glory. But also if I'm coming in 2 of the 3 games and I'm getting a couple of wins or a couple saves on the back end, then that might be the right role for him. So, yeah, the reliever starter thing is always an interesting dilemma. People don't necessarily like to relieve, but sometimes that is the best fit.
At least early on in a career like that, it is.
Sure.
Game of the Week brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Quality Plumbers, Gainesville's trusted for over 30 years. Quality Plumbing, their name says it all.
Yes, we hyped up Georgia. They're number 2 in the country now. Well, they go to Texas this weekend, and that should be very interesting. Texas is 3rd in the country, so Texas now getting acclimated to what this league is all about. Certainly we've seen their success in football and what they've been able to do. Basketball, not so much, although they're in the women's Final Four. So Vic Schaefer did a really good job there. So I always am interested now to see how Texas and Oklahoma coming in, not only in baseball, but look at softball. I mean, when Texas came here for softball right there at the beginning of the SEC season, they're number one team in the country, and Gators able to get one win against them. But that impact for the conference is going to be really, really interesting. So anxious to see if Georgia can continue that momentum in a place that they've never been before. Gators have to go to Texas to finish off their road season in SEC play this year. So it's not going to be easy by any means, but you got to go in there and try to maybe get one. We'll see how Georgia does.
Player of the Week brought to you by Florida Victorious. Game-changing plays, life-changing impact. Florida Victorious, proud partner of the Florida Gators on and off the field. Player of the Week.
Yeah, there was the dude that hit 5 homers for Texas, Will Gasparina. Anytime you do that, it's pretty darn good. And I mean, you think about that. The Gators' leading home run hitter right now has 8. And that guy hit 5 for the weekend. But finally, the Gators aren't playing the reigning SEC Player of the Week. They saw Ole Miss this past weekend, and the weekend before, Ole Miss Player of the Week. They saw Georgia 2 weeks ago. The week before that, Georgia SEC Player of the Week. So finally, somebody's not coming in here hot for a Gator opponent. But yeah, I mean, obviously you get hot, and you never know what's going to happen. And that's what the Gators need. We had a question early on saying, what's going to spark something? Somebody just getting hot. And we saw that a little bit with Luke Heyman, who's now in 4 games in Oxford, has 5 home runs. So he really loves that ballpark. And I kind of jokingly said, Heyman's going to be transferring to Oxford next year because he hits so well on that ballpark. But, yeah, just get somebody hot, get somebody going. And certainly there's a lot of good players in this league.
I delved out of the SEC for this because sometimes I like to look for little nuggets. Guy that pitches for Yale.
Okay.
Yale. He's a freshman. His name is Jack Ullman. He's pitched 30 in the 3rd innings. He's allowed no earned runs.
Wow.
He has a 0 ERA. Now, again, Yale, but hey, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? He's pitching college, and he's not allowed an earned run in 30 innings, so he's my player of the week. We'll come back. More to come on the On Deck Show. Stay with us.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the hippie attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
At Comfort Temp Heating and Air, we're proud to celebrate 40 years as your #1 local HVAC company. We offer energy-efficient solutions featuring quality products from Lennox. Whether it's new installation, system repairs, or routine maintenance, we promise to never sell you anything you don't need. Our professional and experienced technicians provide reliable service you can trust and will keep you informed throughout the entire process. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Over 2 decades, Miapa has been a staple in Alachua County. Start your day right at Miapa, where fast and affordable authentic cuisine awaits.
We're known for serving the best Cuban coffee.
Our secret is in every sip and every bite, bringing the flavor of our culture straight to your palate. Everyone is welcome at Miapa Latin Cafe. Visit us at one of our locations and let us take you on a journey full of flavor. Miapa Latin Cafe, where every bite is a taste of tradition.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that builds commercial structures for contractors who expect unrivaled quality, including the head ball coach's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. You only have one chance to make a building that holds up to the highest standards through all kinds of weather. Visit silverbackconcrete.co to see why they're the #1 choice in the Southeast. You stand on it, we stand by it. Silverback Concrete's got your back.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
All right, it's time for our 7th inning stretch, but we won't sing. That'll get you to tune off.
That,
yeah,
yes.
we will do that. So it's courtesy of Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover 11 delicious Cuban sandwiches at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You are never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. And Steve, they always do that great promotion of the free coffee when the Gators win. So got to get some wins this weekend. Got a chance tonight finally to do that. I've taken advantage of that a few times, and then you always go in and snag a pastry too, and it's all great stuff.
It is great stuff. Let's do a Gators softball review, brought to you by Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. Silverback Concrete. Florida has Arkansas coming in here this weekend. Arkansas is a good team, but look, that's nothing unusual in the SEC. A lot of teams are very, very good. But I think this is a really good time for Florida to play a team like Arkansas. Auburn is not very good, and Florida took care of business there. So I want to see how the Gators do against a pretty darn good Arkansas team.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Obviously, you lost a generational player at shortstop last year, like you lost a generational player in baseball with Cags. So, I think it's about adjusting, and you're not playing as good a defense as you normally are, so you've got to make some stuff there at short and third and figure some things out. But they can hit, and you obviously didn't have your best pitcher in there for a while too. So, to still go through all those ups and downs and still be top 5 in the country, Tim Walton knows what he's doing. There's a lot of talent on that team, and certainly people understood what was coming back and what Tim Walton was able to bring in. He had a freshman, Schumacher, come out and just go on a tear. It might be one of the best freshman seasons in school history. So they're getting it from the youngsters and obviously getting it from the wily veterans as well. So, yeah, just keep going, keep grinding.
Tim Walton, I don't want to say he's underappreciated like Mouse Holloway, right? But he just sort of does his thing, and getting to Oklahoma City, he does that more times than not, and you kind of just turn around in the season, just like baseball, the season flies by. But he's done it with great talent. He's done it with different coaching staffs. He's done it, some of his teams have been a little bit different, some heavier pitching, some heavier hitting, but he has done. I hope Gator fans understand what they have in Tim Walton, because he's terrific.
And I think the neat part about that, you mentioned Mouse too, and you getting to have conversations like you do with these guys, it's fascinating because you think, okay, I just won a national title, or I just went to Oklahoma City or Omaha, or just got really, really far, so I don't need to change anything. But they're constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly communicating with all the other coaches here at the University of Florida to say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what do I have to do now to make better? And you might have a completely different team from the way you did it a year ago because of what the talent is. So I think that's what is so hard to do it on a consistent basis, and fascinating to see how much the baseball and softball teams end up getting to the World Series each year.
Yes. All right. Our top 4 teams brought to you by Coke Zero. The new and improved recipe tastes like real Coca-Cola with 0 sugar and 0 calories. Top 4.
Yeah, gotta love that. Well, there are 4 teams right now, 8-1 in the SEC, so it's very top-heavy, but also then that means there's a lot of teams at the bottom, just like Florida is. So Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, all 8-1. LSU sitting there at 7-2. So I think you have to obviously say that those teams are the best of the best when it's all said and done. Top 25 teams, 10 of them are from the SEC, and the Gators were in there and, of course, dropped out. So if Florida can make their way back in there, think about that. And there was a time 2 weeks ago, 11 of the top 22 teams in the country were from the SEC. So it's a really, really difficult league. But the good thing is you've got Mississippi State, South Carolina, Texas A&M, who was preseason number 1. I bet they're freaking out in College Station right now. They're all 1-8, and then Missouri's 0-9, and the Gators get Missouri in a couple of weeks when they come to the Condren Ballpark. So by no means you can think that this is over. I mean, Auburn, Kentucky, Vandy, who they play this weekend, all at 4-5. You still have, of course, Vandy on the schedule. So go out, win a couple, do what you're supposed to do, slowly make your way back up in it, and see what happens.
You are playing, left on the schedule, Vanderbilt, as you mentioned, Mississippi State, Missouri, South Carolina, all with sub-500 league records, and in some cases, really bad SEC records. Now, you got to play Carolina on the road, Mississippi State on the road, but you can take 2 there.
Yep.
That's certainly doable. So I get it. I understand why Gator fans are thinking what they're thinking. But let me ask you about, you saw Ole Miss in person, and they were ranked. And, Jeff, I looked at them, and not that they shouldn't be ranked, but, when you talk about the LSUs, and I don't think they measure up, but their pitching seems to be pretty suspect.
Yeah, they were. The Friday night guys, decent, a competitor. Saturday and Sunday, or I guess it was a doubleheader, but I mean, nothing special with those. They ran out a whole bunch of different arms. They've actually thrown 20 different pitchers this year, which
like
is
State,
crazy
right? Yeah.
how much they shuffle arms in and out. But yeah, and the Gators, I mean, that's that fine line. Again, you think about Tennessee, Georgia, at least one there. You get 2. All of a sudden, you're 4-5 instead of 1-8. And it's a completely different look of the team right now. So Florida's close. They just have to start winning. And you mentioned that number. If you can get to, let's just say it's 12 wins. So they go 12-18 in the league, which I think with their RPI and everything else, that'll get them in. So that's only 11 wins in the next, 7 weeks. So that means you win 2 out of 3, or God forbid, get a sweep in any of those. And then as long as you're not getting swept, I think Florida's still in an okay position to make the postseason. So don't freak out yet, folks.
No, and as the season goes along, if a team like Missouri or South Carolina continues to struggle, well, then what are they playing for?
Sure.
Right? So we'll see. By the way, next week, if you have some Facebook Live comments, you can give them to us. We'll take them, courtesy of Titan MRI. No insurance is no problem. Titan MRI has same-day scheduling available. Call them up, start feeling better today. TitanMRI.com. We'll take our final break and wrap up our first On Deck show. Stay with us.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Roos Ogra for your personal price plan today.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. Reach for core power and rise to a whole new level of recovery. Protein to build muscle. Electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to power on. Champion your recovery with Core Power.
I'm David Steele, voice of the Gators in 1984, when Brian Nasworth began a new journey, opening Quality Plumbing.
And I'm Mick Hubert. During my 33 years as voice of the Gators, I called championship games for football, basketball, and baseball. And at the same time, Quality Plumbing became champions for residents and businesses of Gainesville.
I'm Sean Kelly, and now I'm the voice of the Gators as Quality Plumbing celebrates its 40th anniversary. And for years to come, I'll be calling the games, and Quality Plumbing will continue to be the #1 plumbing company for Gator Nation.
CFC 043073.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Diamond Center is the official jeweler of the Florida Gators. Visit us online at shopidc.com to see our selection of premier diamonds you can't get anywhere else. International Diamond Center, your family-owned diamond connection located in Celebration Point. Well, this weekend, the Gators have Vanderbilt, a team, Jeff, that is pretty good on the mound, but they're kind of so-so. It's funny. Coach Corbin's done a great job at Vanderbilt.
Sure.
But in reality, lately, his teams have been sort of fringy top 25 teams. They've not been the dominant Vanderbilt teams we saw in past years.
Yeah, NIL's changed it big time with them because they were able to utilize different things within the scholarship limitations and get players to come there that other teams couldn't get. So now when everybody's getting paid, then guess what? They're not going to Vandy anymore. And I think, still Tim Corbin's of that mindset because you've had so many guys just dominate. I mean, heck, look at Texas's rotation right now. You got Kamar Rocker and Jack Leiter in there. So they were just at Vandy, 2018. So not long ago. But I think the issue with Vandy right now is we're seeing all these teams that can really mash, and that's what Tennessee does. That's what Georgia does. Ole Miss was top 5 in the country at home runs. Vandy's not like that. It's almost like he has not gotten that impact player to affect things on offense. And you always say pitching is going to be better anyway, but not nowadays, not with these deep lineups. And you look at the amount of runs that are scored left and right in the league all the time. Vandy's not being able to compete with that. So hopefully Florida can pitch it well this weekend, obviously get a little offense and just take care of business and win 2 out of 3, if not sweep.
Yeah, Vandy's numbers, I think they field like 985, so they're a good defensive team. They always have been.
Sure.
And the opposing batting average is very low. So, I mean, they've done a good job pitching, but Jeff's right. They just have not adapted is the right word, I guess, to sort of the modern go out and get a bopper and, that sort of thing. It's been successful for him, but we'll see what happens here this weekend. That's going to do it for our On Deck today. Our thanks to our producer, Zach Rothrock, for his fine work. We thank you for listening. Make sure and join us next week. We'll take some live questions from you, and we'll see what happens with Florida Vandy and Florida Arkansas in softball. For Jeff Cardozo, I'm Steve Russell. See you later.
We thank you for listening to On Deck with Jeff Cardozo and Steve Russell, presented by the International Diamond Center. The show and the On Deck Show archive is available for you via podcast.